Coming up, how students are affected by voter ID laws.
Also, a parking garage in Iowa City is award-winning.
Stick around for DITV's pregame show where we'll break down Iowa's game against the Hoosiers.
And we'll give you your favorite part of the show, our predictions for the game.
All of an update on the Gateway project and also the chilly temperatures we may have here in the Midwest. All that coming up on weather.
All that and more coming up on this Friday, October 12th edition of DITV.
Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now.
Good morning and thank you for tuning in this Friday. I'm Jahisha Thomas.
And I'm John Chenoweth.
With midterm elections less than a month away, voter IDs have been a hot topic.
To discuss how this affects students, we have Mackenzy Cooper in the newsroom. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mackenzy, can you tell us how voter ID laws relate to students?
Yeah, definitely. So in 2017, the Iowa legislature passed an Election, Modernization, and Integrity Act requiring an ID to vote. Now students want to bring their student IDs. It's convenient, everybody has one, and with all of these laws coming up, it has been a hot topic and students want to know what exactly they can bring to make voting easier for them.
So why can't students use their IDs at the polls?
Well, state officials say that it would be too expensive to put that expiration date on student IDs, and they need that expiration date unless the poll workers will not take them.
So what were they able to bring instead?
Well, they can bring the student ID if it has the expiration date on it, and if not, they can bring an Iowa's driver's license, an Iowa non-operator's ID, a military ID, a U.S. passport, a tribal ID, a voter ID card, and again, a student ID as long as it has that expiration date. I'll be back to give you an update on this week's Kid Captain. Jahisha and John, back to you.
Thank you, Mackenzy, for that insightful information in the newsroom. The marking carriage located in the 175 East Harrison Street has won an award it was received an honorable mention for excellence in design award from the American Institute of Architects Iowa chapter. 70 buildings applied and the Harrison Street garage was one of the 7 that got the award. The facility is surrounded by 600 parking spaces and 28 condos for the residents. These features as well as the aesthetics of the building are what won the facility its award. The facility was built by Newman Monson Architects and project architect Nick Lindsay. It was completed in 2017.
The Johnson County Crisis Center is launching a new drive focused on toilet paper. The center gives food to families in need, but its funding doesn't cover toilet paper. Crisis Center Communications Coordinator Carly Matthews stated that, quote, 15% of our population here in Johnson County is food insecure, which means they're probably skipping out on certain items like toilet paper, end quote. Volunteers have been collecting donations in hope of reaching a point where the center can supply a free roll of toilet paper to every person they help. Though the drive is focused on collecting toilet paper, the center accepts many different personal hygiene items. Last year, the drive collected over 400 pounds of toilet paper to give away. If you're looking to help out, check the Crisis Center website. Give them a call, head over to 1121 South Gilbert, and donate. Iowa City has seen a lot of rain the past couple of weeks, which comes with flash flooding.
That's right, John. After the 2008 floods, the city of Iowa City was left devastated and began flood prevention projects. One has showed success in the recent days of all of this rainfall.
We have weather anchor Dylan in the weather studio with an update. Dylan?
Thanks, Jahisha and John. The City Gateway project near Dubuque Street is nearing completion. Since the start of the project, Dubuque Street has been raised 10 feet in an attempt to prevent flooding in the future. Officials have already noticed results with recent flooding in the area over the past few weeks. Johnson County Emergency Management Director Dave Wilson stated that this year's flood damage has been far less than previous years. Construction started 2.5 years ago and is on track to be finished before 2019. Well, I think we've all noticed and definitely felt the cold temperatures that came yesterday. The Hawkeye football team will have these same conditions as they travel to Bloomington, Indiana for an 11 a.m. game tomorrow versus the Hoosiers. Luckily, weather will not be too much of a concern for them as it will be partly sunny with a temperature of 44 degrees at kickoff. Back here in Iowa City, we will have a temperature of 39 degrees this morning. Moving into tonight's forecast, we'll have partly cloudy skies and a temperature of 41 degrees. Looking into our extended 5-day forecast, tomorrow we will see a high of 53 and a low of 41 with mostly cloudy skies, but there'll still be some sun there. As we move into Sunday, we have some rain as we go into the night with a 50% chance of showers and a high of 46 and a low in the 30s. Monday brings partly cloudy skies with our high in the mid-40s and a low below 30 degrees at 29 degrees. Tuesday, we get back to sunny with a high in the 50s and a low in the 30s. Wednesday's forecast is very similar to Tuesday's, as it will be sunny as well with our high in the mid-50s and a low in the mid-30s. Well, I guess we need to start to break out that winter gear and get ready for the cold and maybe even some snow to come into our lives this next week. Guys at the desk, back to you.
A recent study by the University of Iowa might link the amount of time that farmers spend in their farming vehicles to back pain later in life. The study is being done by the UI College of Public Health. The focus of the study is the effect of vehicle vibrations has on the farmer. The findings show that people who spent more time working in farming vehicles like tractors or combines are more likely to have muscular or back pain. 118 farmers across 9 states were part of the study. Sensors were placed under the seats of the 112 different vehicles, including tractors, combines, all-terrain vehicles, forklifts, and skid loaders.
It's Friday. That means it's time for our Kid Captain of the Week. For more in the newsroom, we have Mackenzy Cooper. Hello, Mackenzy.
Hello, nice to see you guys again. Well, thanks, guys. This week's Kid Captain is our youngest one, 2-year-old Mason Zabel from Independence, Iowa. When Mason was born, doctors caught something on his newborn scans, and he was diagnosed with phenylketonuria. This causes an amino acid to not be broken down properly and can be toxic to the brain. Because they were able to catch it early, Mason lives a pretty normal life, with only changes to his diet to help him receive those proteins that his body can't break down. Every day for the rest of his life, he will need to drink a medical formula, which will be tailored to him as he grows. Mason's family says that they are extremely thankful for newborn scans and the staff at the UI Stead Family Children's Hospital. Since the Hawkeyes are away this week, they plan on having a party at home to celebrate Mason, who loves playing football. Now, Mason and his family are also planning on attending the homecoming game next week against Maryland. So if you guys see Mason, be sure to tell him hi. John and Jahisha, back to you.
Well, Jahisha, hopefully Iowa can do well like they did against Minnesota. Their offense is really getting them in the first quarter and the first half, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, yes. I don't know more about like strategies and plays, but no, I do hope we win, and I do hope we do see that Kid Captain at the game. So let's take it over to Beau and Lucy and see what they have for us in store.
Welcome back to DITV's pregame show. I'm your host, Beau Bowman, alongside Lucy Rohden.
Thanks for having me again, Beau. Iowa travels to Indiana this week to take on the Hoosiers, and this won't be quite the cakewalk that Minnesota was.
No, Indiana has hung tough with almost everyone they've played. They kept it close with Michigan State and Ohio State until the fourth quarter, when both those teams were kind of able to run away with it.
So let's take a look at how the Hoosiers got to a solid 4-2 record halfway through their season.
For starters, steady quarterback play. Peyton Ramsey has thrown for over 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. And on top of all that, he boasts a 67% completion percentage, which is enough to rank him as 21st in the entire country in that stat category.
The Hawks' defensive line is really going to have to put pressure on Ramsey to be able to keep him from picking apart the secondary, which he can do easily with tall, physical receivers.
Exactly, and it's an inexperienced secondary too. They've had to rely on 2 true freshmen, with Michael Ojemudia and Matt Hankins battling injury. Riley Moss and Julius Brents have rose to the occasion.
Exactly, but even though they lack experience, they showed they were ready to play Big Ten ball. 3 interceptions between the two in Minnesota was enough to prove that they are ready for more Big Ten play.
I couldn't even imagine. I didn't even know the defense when I was a true freshman. But, those two guys are guys who kind of stuck out when they first got here based off of, their athletic ability and what we saw during 7-on-7 during the summer. And, both their numbers got called, and I thought they took advantage of the opportunity. But at the same time, when they did make mistakes, they did a really good job of flushing those mistakes, facing that adversity and moving on.
They did a great job. I mean, when they got the ball thrown to them, sometimes they gave up a play. I know Moss did, but he came back with 2 interceptions that were huge for us. So
I think as a freshman DB, just starting their first Big Ten game, I think they did outstanding. Because all the pressure, just being down at first, I feel like they bounced back in a great way.
And they're going to need to continue to be as good as they have been because Indiana's wide receivers are a force to be reckoned with. Sometimes it just seems like Ramsey chucks it up there on a whim and hopes that they come down with it.
Challenge for us. They're a solid offense. Their quarterback is really solid both in the run and the pass game. And, we're going to have to play our best football to, come out of there with a win. And we're looking forward to that challenge Saturday.
I mean, that's what you got to do. That's what teams like that do, 50-50 balls, and either it's going to be a penalty or they're going to catch it, or pass breakup. So.
Yeah, it's probably going to be our biggest test yet. So just as a team, I feel like this offense is the best we've seen all season. So it's going to be our biggest test right now to see how good we are.
Now to the Hawkeyes' advantage, the 3 running backs have to be excited for this game. Indiana struggled against the run so far.
Yeah, especially after last game, we thought it was going to kind of be a little more even on offense, especially with Ivory Kelly-Martin back at full health, but it really tended to be a very pass-heavy game for the Iowa offense. So I know they're ready for this Hoosier team.
The Hoosiers have struggled against the run. So far this season, they've allowed over 150 rushing yards per game. And if we know Iowa, I think they'll be ready to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. The one thing that Iowa offense has to be careful of is turnovers. Indiana has a turnover margin of +4. They have to protect the ball in order to beat Indiana because the Hoosiers, they don't give up the ball very easily. Ball security, Beau, as you always say, is job security. And that's what kept them close with Ohio State last week, winning the turnover battle, and it's something the Hawks will have to do if they want to win this tough road test.
All right, so now, like you said earlier, favorite part of the show, predictions. What do you got for this game?
I struggled with this one. I think it's going to be Iowa, but very, very close. I would not be surprised to see Indiana pull this off, just with Iowa's injuries in the secondary and kind of lack of experience. And Indiana always seems to almost beat that one team, and I feel like they're right on the cusp of beating them. So I'm going to pick Iowa, but I would not be surprised to see the Hoosiers take this one.
Okay. I'm going for it. I'm saying it. Don't try not to laugh too hard. Who's your daddy? Iowa is. I'm picking the Hawks because they've struggled against the run, so I think they're going to come out firing on all cylinders there, and then that'll set up that play-action pass, and Stanley's going to be able to pick apart that secondary. And maybe that their offense will be able to hang with it, but I think we're just going to run all over their defense, and it could be a shootout. We'll see. But that'll do it for this DITV pregame show. Be sure to stick with us throughout the weekend for updates on the game, and be sure to check out the DITV Tailgate Series. Lucy and I visit all the tailgating scenes on the road to see what it's like on game day in the Big Ten.
Then come back next week for our analysis of the game and hopefully less terrible jokes from Beau. Guys, back to you.
Thanks. Yeah, who's your daddy? That was definitely a good one. But it is Friday, and it does mean that it's time for the ICAC Animal of the Week. This is reserved for that one special animal at the Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center, so who is ready to meet their new family?
This week's furry friend is a coonhound mix named Charlie. At 2 years old, Charlie has plenty of energy and is looking to find an active family and loves playing with kids big enough to keep up with him.
Charlie loves the outdoors a little too much, so make sure you keep him on a leash. But for more information about Charlie, check out the ICAC website and call the phone number or go and just give him a visit. Well, that's all for us today, so thank you for tuning in to this Friday morning edition of DITV.
Be sure to head over to daily.iota.com for all your latest news. For DITV, I'm John Chenoweth.
And I'm Jahisha Thomas. Have a fabulous day, Iowa City.